Hey y'all, this is D-Rock.
This is Cam.
And this is
The Heartbeat.
On today's episode, Cam and I sit down with Nelson Ortiz, co-founder of AbstractFramework.
Longtime listeners may have remembered that we interviewed Nelson's business partner, Christian Alvarado, way back in December.
If you're new to the pod, we definitely recommend you go back and check that one out. However, you won't need to have heard that to enjoy this conversation.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, we chat with Nelson about how he got into filmmaking, what the process looks like, and what process he enjoyed the most, and a whole lot more.
All right, so without any further ado, let's jump right into it. All right. Welcome.
So good to have you on the podcast, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Like I said, it's my first time, like my first podcast solo, so I'm like super excited.
Nelson, we know who you are.
Yeah, but why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, my name is Nelson Ortiz, and I am half of AbstractFramework, which is a video production company I run with my friend and business partner, Christian Alvarado. And we mainly focus on filmmaking, but we do music videos, sometimes photography, commercial work, all types of like videography you can think of. And yeah.
Awesome.
Part-time Twitch streamer now too, so it's
Ooh,
like,
all right.
Yeah.
So why don't we jump right in? Could you go ahead and give us your origin story? Your
origin
Peter
story.
Parker bit by a spider. What's your relationship to Hartford? All of that.
Oh, I was coming out of the movies, right? And me and my parents were going down an alley. No, I mean, in terms of, Hartford, and I went to school, Hartford Public High School, so like from there on, I live in Hartford currently. Yeah. And after high school, I didn't go to college, so I'm like, that's when I like a small Sony CyberShot, which is like a digital camera. Mm-hmm. They hadn't really like gone into like DSLRs that implemented video and like 720p and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So me and my friends originally, when in 2016, like the inception of YouTube, we were like, we're gonna start shooting these like short films and stuff like that called The Pink Pony Killer, a killer who dances and stuff like that. And that's when like Kill Bill came out, and I watched Kill Bill, and like the combination of that and like shooting dumb things with my friends and just aping on like Tarantino, who steals from other people, that got me like really into movies. And as time went on, I'll go job from job and stuff like that. Fast forward to like 2013 or so, I met Christian, and that was when like Facebook was really like huge and stuff like that. And I saw he did like a dance video, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I haven't seen another person like in the Hartford area who like shot music videos, and he did one that's like a choreographed dance routine like on a beach. It was really like intricate. And I hit him up because I had I shot a video with my friend Vincent. We did like a rap video, and he saw it. He liked the effects I did on it, and he hit me up like, hey, you want to work on something? And then we did something after that. And then eventually we started like figuring out names and stuff that got us, fast forward. Now we're like, all right, let's call ourselves AbstractFramework. And many videos from there and many films from there.
A couple of mine.
Couple of yours. Yeah. Did a photo shoot way back when.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was like, Cameron was with us like in Inception. Like we had one DSLR and like trying to figure it out.
Where can our listeners find these videos so that?
I think if you go to Abstract or youtube.com/AbstractFramework, you should find everything there on our YouTube. And,
all right.
Just search AbstractFramework. Something will come up. Hopefully not.
So that's how you got started in the production business for the most part.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. It was just like really just like making films with our friends and with whatever cameras we had, and linking up over Facebook, and we were like, I like what you do. And then from there we worked with some artists, and it was kind of just like hitting the ground running, trying to just figuring out as we go, and getting paid little money, and and sometimes going through some like weird things, or like cancellations. Yeah, I've been canceled like 3 times. But no, it was like just a learning curve, and taking your hits and learning from it. And I don't know, like in retrospect, it was like, it's funny looking back on it, but yeah, I don't know.
I think I asked this question before somewhere, but I'm assuming you didn't want to be a production guy, or when you were younger.
When I was younger,
like when did the dream become a thing? Like, this is what I do now.
Oh, this is what I do? That was like around 2013, but even before that, I had my own, like, it wasn't an official production company, but, you know, you're on YouTube, you got to be, like, something Films. So I was, like, Infinity Red Films. I don't know what that means, but I was, like, it sounded cool. And from there, I always had, like, because, I mean, I'm influenced by, like, all my favorite movies, like Tarantino, Scorsese, like, you know, John Carpenter, all that stuff. So I'm, like, I just basically would copy them and do stuff like that. And it was, like, I just love doing this. Like, even if it's, like, no one sees it, or a couple people, a couple of my friends, like, you know, if they see it and they like it, like, I'm happy. Like, even stuff like Cameron had mentioned with Dragon Trap, like, I shot like a music video called Crows like a long time ago, and that got a great reception because I was just like,
man, you got to stop downplaying that. You really do.
This is where that humbleness comes out. I just can't help it. Like, I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's like a long history of so much.
Okay, so what are the challenges in the past couple of years? Due to, you know, everything that's going on, the shutdowns, the mandates, and the yada yada, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
how that affected you, or just the production industry in itself?
Oh man, I mean, majorly. It was like, I mean, we're not even in the stratosphere where it's like Hollywood and like productions as a whole. Like, you have a lot of money weighing on that, where it's like shut down and stopping people from having jobs. But at that point, of course, we had our YouTube channel too, which we talk about like entertainment stuff, music, movies, etc. We were deep into that. We built a set in Christian's house and stuff like that. So we were like going full on that. And from there, it's like, you know, you couldn't get tests or anything like that. And if you did, it was all these, you have to wait this many days. So basically, we stopped our YouTube. So it was like, all right, we'll stop our YouTube. Me, I was kind of just like in a creative rut. Like, I couldn't really, like, it was just like, you know, I was put on furlough until, like, they fired me from my job or let me go from my job. And I was like, from there, I was like, all right, I'll take this unemployment, because for the first time ever, it was actually hitting and it was good. I was like, oh, they're doing something for people, like, you know. But then I was like, we talked to our friend Scott, who's the artist As They Run, which is our current video. But at first we wanted to, like, it stopped us from basically like finding jobs, and in the case of like no one really was contacting, no one wanted like productions like to start, because, you know, nobody had anything to do. And eventually it was just us three in my house, just like brainstorming until we came up with what we had now. And I was like, hey, let's lean more into like the storytelling part of it and go more like, I don't know, spend more time into that. So even though it was like we couldn't actually be on set as much, it spent more time like on the back end, like pre-production, thinking of stuff like that, until eventually, I think it was around October of 2020. So in the midst of the pandemic, we were like, let's just shoot something, you know. And it was like a small crew. It was like me, Christian, our friend Scott, and like 4 actors. And yeah, I mean, we managed to make it work. It was like a diamond in like the rough of the year, you know. So it was a weird time. I don't know, like it stopped work, but at the same time, it gave you time like to reflect on my own career and like what I wanted to do next and what we wanted to do as a production company. So but yeah.
So walk us through that a little bit. What does that creative process look like from start to finish? Like, not just, I mean, you got into it a little bit just now, saying that you had much more time to be focused on the process itself. But what does that look like, especially on the back end of it, like getting things out, like, but also the pre-production up through that point?
Yeah, well, it starts with a lot of crying. I'm kidding. It starts with a lot of, what the hell am I, like, existential crisis. No, for me, why? Like, what am I doing? No, I think, well, for what we're working on now, what helps me, like, the earliest thing is, like, I'm always looking for like inspiration. So I'm always watching a lot of movies. I'm reading as much as I can, and anything I like, I'm gonna write that down, or I think of a random idea. I don't know how anybody else works, but I get my best ideas right before I go to bed. I'm sleeping and it's like quiet, and I'm like, oh wait, let me write that down. So I
get them when I'm cleaning.
Yes, while cleaning too. Yeah. That's actually, I'd be dusting. I'm like, oh my god, that's a great idea. But from that's basically the inception, and it was a point where I was like, I don't feel that I have the energy to actually have a full idea, but I have all these like loose ideas. So let me just jot that down. And from there, it's like part of conceptualizing. I'll there's a website called like filmgrab.com, which is my favorite website, which is just they show you like film grabs from like movies and stuff like that for like visual inspiration, or if you like the movie. So I'll just grab stuff that I like or that I remember, and I'm like, okay, at least like visually conceptualizing, that helps me. And then from there, we're working on now, so like we go to like the treatment of the music video, which is like me, Christian, and Scott, the artist, will just sit down and we'll start, what are your influences, what kind of themes and like emotion you want to portray, listening to the song and stuff like that. And my duty usually is to be like to write the treatment, to be the writer. So after that, I'll just sit down and like bang out like a treatment, which is just, for anyone who doesn't know, it's just like a A to Z, but like a summary of like what the video will entail. So like if it's story beats, maybe some visual references or some, whatever your other inspiration is. And from there we just kind of, adjust. We have more talks and, bang that out until we get to like the shot list, which is just, all the shots you want to get. And from there it's like, essentially finding actors, seeing what works on that end. If we have, so we had one actress on our latest video, and she came from New York. And from there, it's like location is like key, because when you're looking on like a lower budget, it's like it's easier to conceptualize when you know what you're working with than just coming up with an idea and then like, all right, we have like a bedroom. At least we know what to do. But you're like, if you don't have a bedroom, you don't have a whatever you want to do. Like, all right, we're gonna have this alien spaceship come down or whatever, like to an extreme. But it's like it's easier to work from what you have than work out from that. At least my process. And yeah, I don't know. From there, we just I don't know if that was detailed enough or that was too much detail, but really it's kind of like I'm like, there's so much. I'm like, oh, am I leaving anything out? But yeah, it's kind of like.
So what? All right. So before I ask this question, I want to go from the beginning to the end. Your favorite project and what you got coming out. What was your favorite project you've done?
That I've done? Oh my God, honestly, our latest. Like if that's if that wraps in one. Yeah, I mean, this was the first project that we would direct and also serve as DP, like director of photography, and shoot it. But this was like the first one we outsourced that. We were like, let's get somebody that we can just, focus on directing. So everything, the project as a whole, since we are still a small crew, but we're like, we have to oversee a lot more. And we can get somebody who's like, you can serve up the visuals, you have the eye, about lighting. And our DP, Mike Curry, who's amazing, shot our latest video. And I mean, just visually, it took it to another level, but like conceptually, it was like, I've done so many music videos where it's like, we're going to have somebody, rap, sing to the camera. We're going to have somebody walking and stuff like that, have like a little story. But I was like, I want to have like a music video, but I want to make it more of like a short film or like a visual experience, like a visual like interpretation where you have like, I don't know, like it's more ambiguous. And I love that kind of stuff. I love like those like ambiguous sci-fi films, horror, stuff like that. And that was a huge influence. So, and it was just an amazing experience. And it was also like the first big project after like things started getting like relaxed on the pandemic and just being around like more people again. And I mean, we shot a big part of it in downtown Hartford, so it links back that way. And it was also the challenge of, all right, how do we shoot in downtown Hartford? And in my past, we've shot there so many times, and it's like, how can we use it differently? What can we use the waterfront area differently? Can we avoid like the Hartford stage area, but still get the red lighting from the sign and stuff like that? But yeah, it was a challenge to make it like a different place. And I think we were kind of successful, because it was like, oh, we didn't really use like under the bridge here, do this area here, and yeah, I don't know, it was just an amazing experience. And that's also our latest project to like wrap it up in one, which is An Artist As They Run. The song is Mood Swing. So if you, As They Run, Mood Swing on YouTube, you can find the video. Okay. And yeah, it was a chance to get like really weird. Like the more projects we do, I think the weirder we're gonna get with it. Like I said, I love sci-fi, horror, like the weird stuff. I'm like, I just want to do some weird stuff people don't expect, and this is kind of like dipping our toes into that, and
So what are your major influences?
Yeah. I mean, movies as a whole. Like I'm such a big movie buff. Like
so I think I want to make it more direct. Who are your favorite directors?
I heard Tarantino, yeah, of course. Well, when I saw Kill Bill, that was like, because like Tarantino was a big a big fan of like Asian cinema and like kung fu cinema, stuff like that. And he had I remember watching Kill Bill. I was like, oh my god, this is all so cool. Like, I want to know what he grabbed from. So I'd go back and I watched. There was Lone Wolf and Cub was like one thing. He had aped from and stuff like that, and Lady Snowblood, like all these old like Asian cinemas films, and I love that. And then I got into like Korean cinema, which was fucking awesome.
It's interesting.
See, I don't know if I cursed. I was like, oh no,
please curse.
Yeah,
curse,
I was like, I wasn't sure if it just comes out.
Yeah, so I always thought that Tarantino gathered his stuff. I could be wrong, D-Rock. Spaghetti westerns.
Yeah, spaghetti westerns.
I thought that was more of his influence as opposed to. I could be wrong. Could be both, right?
It was both.
No, I think it was all like every like he's done like French New Wave cinema inspiration.
Okay.
He's done like spaghetti western stuff, like even blaxploitation stuff with like Jackie Brown and stuff like that. So, I mean, and that's where like blaxploitation, like a lot of like what he liked, I got into. I was like, I want to see what he's done, and from there it's like John Carpenter with like The Thing and Halloween, all that horror stuff, and Stanley Kubrick, of course, like all the classics. Scorsese, watching Goodfellas way too young, stuff like that. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but when he, beats that guy with those keys, I'm like, oh, this is intense. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like watching a lot of movies where my parents were like, why did you let me watch this when I was younger? Like that kind of. But I'm glad you did. Like, I'm glad you did show me those things.
So do you have any projects coming up that you're really looking forward to?
That you can tell us, or
that you can tell us about. I mean, don't spoil anything. But.
No, yeah. We have one with the same artist as they run. We're like in pre-production right now for his next music video, and we just went to actually location scouting yesterday for a place in Mass. So we're like, okay, things are moving. So we're like in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And between that should be out in July, around July, which. Again, like I said, I'm hoping to make it weirder and more like crazy. So, but yeah, and then between that, we also have some stuff we filmed that I mentioned during the pandemic that was never released, and that's probably our weirdest things, which are kind of like they're like one is like a fake sitcom that we filmed, which is really bizarre, and one of the characters is like an inanimate doll, so to speak, or like a mannequin.
Okay.
So just to give you a hint of like the weirdness. And then we have a few other things. We're like beholden to the artist on when he wants to release stuff. So I'm not sure when that's happening, but I know the music video will come out like summer, like late summer, something like that. So I'm excited for a lot. I'm sitting James. Oh boy.
You seen the one trying to get into the drive-through at McDonald's over here?
No.
Oh my God! It's a Grand Canyon. You got to drive like this in order to get to the speaker.
I know. I hit one on the way from 7-Eleven up here.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like, I was like,
Yep. It's huge.
that was just crazy. All right, I think I'm set.
Back? Yep. All right. So, Nelson, thank you for coming on today. We like to end every episode with the same 3 questions, just for consistency's sake.
Yeah.
So, question number 1. What's your favorite thing about Hartford and the greater Hartford area?
Ooh. I'm going to link it back to, like, the artistry of stuff. I'm going to say, like, the people. To be, like, kind of, like, give that generic answer. But, like, there's so many, like, great artists and people that either, like, dance, do photography, the visual medium, stuff like that. And I don't know. Like, I think there's so many, like, great upcoming artists. And hopefully, like, the city does well in, like, fostering that and giving more into, like, the arts and things like that. So yeah, I've met so many people that you kind of like wouldn't expect. They do this or do that, and I'm like, okay, I've learned so much. Like I don't know, just working in such a small city.
Pay attention, Mayor Bronin.
Exactly.
He's still the mayor for a couple years. So if you were actually the mayor for a day, what would you change about Hartford?
Well, you mentioned the streets. Well, that's one.
I didn't mention nothing.
Look, we gotta start an uprising. No, but I think actually go back to my first question is like giving more to like arts programs and stuff like that, and having more of like inner city kids of having those options of, because when I was younger, like I shot on a Sony Cybershot that I got for Christmas, and my mother and father had to go half on it. And I had so much mileage just shooting that. We had no mic. The camera was like the size of like smaller than an iPhone, what it is today. And it was just like the enjoyment of just working on something like for the sake of having fun and like learning how to frame something or just acting. And I don't know, all that is so fun, and it's like escapism. It's like the same thing as like watching movies. When I was young, I was like, oh my God, I want to know what all these jobs entail. And when you start working with other people who share your passion, it's such like an invigorating like environment. So if anybody, I think if anybody ever wants to like be like on a film shoot just to like, you know, just be there or help out, it's such a cool experience because I don't know, it's just like you're around like artists, and it's like anywhere you go with like even like live music and stuff like that. Everybody, you know, has the same type of, you know, love for that.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so there are a lot of things about the greater Hartford area that don't get enough attention.
Yeah.
So what are some hidden gems, people, places, things that you'd like to shine a light on?
Ooh, well, there's a couple things. There's one photographer, I'll mention photography, but he goes by, I think on Instagram, Kareem C Photography, who does amazing, like, Christian went to high school with him, and another example of like growing up with like people who've become so good at what they do. And I don't know, I wanted to give a shout out to him because eventually I want to do photos with him. And like I was like, yeah, I need photos just for myself because they look so good, and I just think he needs more attention because he does so well with like color and stuff like that. And he works with another, I think he's from Hartford, or at least the Hartford area, by the name of Dave Phoenix. So I think he's doing something like really interesting, like visually too, with like the way he promotes himself and stuff like that. And I mean, hidden gems, I don't know, Angelina's Pizza, I guess. If like Angelina's Pizza is good if you're in the Harvard area and want really good pizza. Still my favorite pizza.
Near, New Park Avenue.
Yeah.
It's New Park, no, it's Prospect. It's Prospect.
Yeah, not too far from like
corner there.
Like Bowtie Cinemas or whatever it's called now. But yeah, I don't know. It's like on the spot, it's kind of hard. I just go to like the people I know and like, you know, I think, you know, deserve more attention and stuff like that. But
absolutely. Well, thank you.
The potholes too. The potholes fixed them.
Right.
Thank you for coming on. I want you, before we leave, why don't you promo yourself?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you can find our production video stuff on AbstractFramework.com or YouTube.com/AbstractFramework, where you'll find a lot of our YouTube stuff where we review movies and do entertainment talks and our music videos. And also myself, you can find me on Twitch.tv/NelsonAbstract, you know, where I stream video games. I love talking movies on there and just chit-chatting, you know, shooting the shit. And yeah, you follow me on Instagram. Everything is at Nelson Abstract if you want to follow me and keep up. I'm everywhere, TikTok, unfortunately. But yeah, anywhere online, you could find me under that. And yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on and
we appreciate
chatting.
You.
Like,
hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nelson.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for listening to The Heartbeat with your hosts, Cam and D-Rock.
We hope you enjoyed our interview with Nelson Ortiz from Abstract Framework.
Join us next week when we'll be interviewing Sham Kulkarni from Fruitful Mixology.
And as always, please head over to theheartbeatct.com. Again, theheartbeatct.com to sign up for our email list, as well as check out all the links and resources in the show notes.
Be sure to go ahead and like and subscribe to this podcast and leave us a review wherever you're listening to it. It goes a long way towards helping people discover us.
And you know what? Thank you, Spigot Cafe, for hosting us, and to Nelson Ortiz for joining us.
And to Javon Carlo for writing our intro and outro music.
That's all for this episode, folks. See you next week on
The Heartbeat.